The Think Institute.
Where and how do you think the Greek gods came about? All right, I do think that the Greek gods came about primarily through cultural transfer from previous societies like Canaan. So, for example, Zeus comes from Baal. There are other Canaanite deities who worked their way over into the Greek pantheon of gods. Not to say that all of them did. I think that some of them probably came from ancestor worship. I know that there's at least one example of an Egyptian god who was probably a deified version of Ham, I believe. Is that right? Yes. I think so. But, Noah had three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And you can make a pretty good case that some of those Egyptian gods, at least one of them, was a deified version of one of Noah's sons. And that makes sense if you think about it. People revere their ancestors, and you can only revere to a certain point before you start worshiping. And I think that that's what happened with some of those gods. So if it happened in Egypt, very well may have happened in Greece, in Canaan, other places. But then also you've got demonic influence. If you believe, as I do, that in the old days, fallen angels had a lot more influence over the nations than they do in the post-Christ era, then those demons would have played an outsized influence in the official religions of these ancient cultures. You think about like King David worshiping and praying to God, or King Solomon getting wisdom from God. Well, it's not that much of a stretch to think that the Canaanite king was praying to these Canaanite gods, or the Assyrian king was praying to these Assyrian lowercase g gods and was getting so-called wisdom from them. And that was fostering and encouraging false religion. I'm sure the same thing was going on in ancient Greece.